CBC Radio-Canada works to uphold the rights of Indigenous peoples and acknowledges historic and ongoing harms of colonization. Our stations are located across the country on traditional, unceded, and treaty territories. We express our respect and gratitude to all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples, recognizing their unique perspectives and realities. We recognize the importance for our content to portray Indigenous peoples with dignity. As an organization, we are grateful to tell stories from all regions and continue to foster meaningful relationships with local nations. CBC Radio-Canada s'emploie à défendre les droits des peuples autochtones et reconnaît les torts passés et présents causés par la colonisation. Nos stations au pays sont situées sur des territoires traditionnels, non cédés et visés par les traités. Nous exprimons notre respect et notre gratitude envers tous les peuples inuits, métis et des Premières Nations et reconnaissons les points de vue et réalités qui leur sont propres. Nous reconnaissons l'importance de présenter les peuples autochtones avec dignité dans notre contenu. En tant qu'organisation, nous sommes reconnaissants de relayer les récits des différentes régions et nous continuons à forger des relations constructives avec les nations locales. Un prochain invité qui arrive, stand by Raph. The 2024 Annual Public Meeting, ça roule. L'Assemblée publique annuelle 2024, we're rolling. Hi, I'm Sarah. Je suis la réalisatrice. Vous pouvez vous asseoir juste ici. And you could look directly in the camera right here.
I might take my glasses.
I'm Jan Suchik. I'm Director General of Czech Television.
My name is Jim Mather. I'm the chair of the Board of Governors of RNZ New Zealand.
Éric Poivre, secrétaire général des médias francophones publics.
I'm Tim Davey. I'm Director General of the BBC.
My name is Anne-Sophie Fouron. I'm the Managing Director of the International Olympic Committee Television and Marketing Services, and we're based in Switzerland.
Catherine Marr, NPR.
My name is Cindy Xu. Come from Taiwan Public Television Service as the president.
My name is Noel Curran and I am Director General of the European Broadcasting Union.
I'm Paul Thompson. I'm the Chief Executive and Editor-in-Chief of RNZ, New Zealand's public broadcaster. I'm also the President of the Public Media Alliance.
Je m'appelle Jean-Paul Philippot, je suis l'administrateur général de la RTBF, la radio-télévision belge de langue française.
My name is Hanna Stjoni and I'm CEO of Swedish Television.
What is the greatest challenge facing public broadcasting today? Quel est le plus grand défi auquel la radiodiffusion publique est confrontée aujourd'hui?
Trust.
De la confiance.
Trust is not something that we can take for granted.
That's our currency, and there are a lot of things happening in the world at the moment that are pulling communities apart. There's polarisation, there's misinformation, there's the rise of authoritarian politics. The biggest challenge that we have is to be a cohesive force and to be bringing people back through trusted and relevant content.
Dans le contexte de l'avènement de l'intelligence artificielle, on va se retrouver confronté à des deepfakes, à des informations qui n'iront pas du tout dans le sens de la vérité. Donc notre premier défi, c'est évidemment de lutter contre ces fake news et de mettre en place des mécanismes qui vont permettre à nos auditoires de pouvoir vérifier que les informations que nous communiquons sont les bonnes informations.
The diversity of the video platforms, it's very hard for us to reach the younger audience again. And that's why we have to develop our contents through different platforms to reach our audiences. I think that's the time when we public broadcasters should collaborate together and to make sure that the content is good and with quality information.
Le défi, il est dans 3 champs. Travailler sur nos valeurs et nos missions, connecter la société dans un monde numérique qui se fragmente et entretenir un lien de confiance, ce sont les défis majeurs, nos enjeux, ce qui rend aussi notre tâche très excitante.
Public broadcasters have a critical role to play in engaging communities and bringing a nation together. In today's media landscape, public broadcasters generally face a number of challenges, including, greater public scrutiny, proliferation of misinformation on social media, and securing financial support.
You have to be very close to people in the country. You have to understand what are the big discussions, what are the issues that you should scrutinize, what are the things that you should cover, to be very close to people. It's an honor and it's a privilege to be a public broadcaster, to be there for everyone in the country, for all the citizens.
Relevance. We can talk about big policy issues, big threats, but at the end of the day, it's all about the audience. They have infinite choice of content. We've just got to make sure that what we do and what we deliver is completely unique, relevant to them, and makes the cut.
Staying relevant to an audience who are much more visually sophisticated, have much more choice, are accessing their content in so many different ways.
The effort to stabilize the funding systems and to keep the role and the relevance for the audience on the highest level possible.
The greatest challenge facing public broadcasting today is to continue to understand why we matter, why we're relevant, and what our audiences need out of us.
Why does public media matter? Pourquoi les médias publics sont-ils importants?
I think public service media has actually never been more important.
We're needed more than ever.
Public media continues to matter because of the fact that we have a crucial role to play in any democracy.
We are the only form of media that is entirely independent and serves the public interest and the public good. We are a form of civic infrastructure, and where and when we exist, we know that societies and democracies are healthier as a result.
We live in challenging times in many ways. We live in quite tense times with a lot of world conflicts going on, and the need for journalism, for good programming, for public broadcasting is bigger now than I think it has been for a very, very long time.
And I'd argue that public media is not only important within our countries, where it's vitally important, but it's also important for us to really come together as a family of public media in all of the democracies of the world and to be stronger together.
In an era with so much misinformation, I think public media can provide a reliable source for the truth. I think that's the value for us right now.
I guess in an era of internet with no borders and with such a huge portion of disinformation and misinformation leads to much higher need of some safe point where when you reach this point, you get the most objective info, unbiased info, and then also the info which answers the question which deals with your own life.
Pursuing the truth with no agenda, really without fear or favour, that's become more important in a world of disinformation.
And we can really connect with people as citizens, not as consumers, with content that connects, informs and brings us together and celebrates our culture.
Avoir un média dont la vocation est d'informer de manière pluraliste et de produire dans toute la diversité des créateurs et des créatrices locaux, et d'être un média de rassemblement d'une société qui est fragmentée ou qui est diffractée pour rassembler une société autour de valeurs communes.
Les médias publics sont importants parce que nous sommes garants de la diversité culturelle. Nous permettons à chaque strate de la société de pouvoir s'exprimer. Nous sommes également garants du pluralisme, c'est-à-dire que toutes les opinions peuvent trouver place sur nos antennes. Et puis nous sommes des créateurs de liens sociaux. Nous rassemblons plutôt que nous divisons.
And finally, bringing people together, not just personalising them and putting them into an echo chamber that we see from other media, but actually bringing connections, getting people to understand their similarities, not just their differences. Public service media has a real growth role to play in the future.
Entertainment that delights and connects us across our various and textured cultures across an entire nation, and the joy that comes with understanding the world around us better.
Providing escape from all of this through our entertainment and our drama programs, providing moments where people still come together.
In the context of the Olympic Games, the role of public media is as important as ever. The IOC's philosophy is to reach the widest possible audience in order that people around the world are able to experience and be inspired by the magic of the Olympic Games. Public media can provide unparalleled support in achieving this objective. Our partnership with CBC Radio-Canada inspired Canadians in a way that was only possible due to the support of public media.
Les caméras, ça roule?
Oui, ça roule.
Sophie Fouron, peux-tu me faire un petit test de son, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, bonjour tout le monde. Catherine Tait, Michael Goldbloom, hello to you both.
Hello.
On est assis ici dans nos bureaux d'Ottawa, and I'll start my questions with you, Catherine. Worldwide, the media industry is in flux and facing unprecedented challenges. How is CBC Radio-Canada adapting so that it can continue to meet its public service mandate?
Well, thanks for the question, Sophie. All the media, traditional, digital, domestically and worldwide, are challenged at this time. The domination of the digital giants, when I say that, I mean Google, Meta, Netflix, Amazon, all of those big services have undermined the presence of local media and have threatened local media, especially in areas, what we call news deserts now across the country, where there's just simply no Canadian-owned companies anymore. And if you add to that the challenge of production costs going up, inflation, revenues going down, revenues tied to our traditional services declining, we have a perfect storm. But the good news is CBC Radio-Canada est plus pertinent que jamais. En fait, on est là pour desservir le public canadien sur le terrain.
Michael?
Depuis 2008, je pense que nous avons perdu presque 500 médias d'information dans 300 communautés à travers le pays. Donc, moins d'informations, plus grand risque de la prolifération de désinformation. À mon avis, ça demande plus du diffuseur public pour répondre à ça. You know, there was a study done by an organization called Policy Horizons this past year. The question they were asking themselves is, what are the greatest risks to Canada in terms of disruption? And I was somewhat surprised by their conclusion. I thought it would be climate change or international security. Their conclusion was the greatest risk is that Canadians will not know what is true. And when you think about that, what's the essence of a democracy is to have a population that is informed so that they can make informed decisions. So I would argue that we probably need the public broadcaster more than we ever have.
Le diffuseur public, Michael, comme tous les médias canadiens, on vient d'en parler, doit faire face à la concurrence féroce des plateformes étrangères. Selon vous, que doit faire CBC Radio-Canada pour se démarquer et rester pertinente?
Je pense que, comme Catherine a dit, c'est une question de proximité. We are the national public broadcaster. It's important that we be as close to Canadians as possible. We have, 88 radio stations. We've got 27 television stations across the country. I think last year we commissioned about 300 productions from independent producers across the country. So I think it's that presence that is one of the things that distinguishes us.
Catherine?
Si je peux rajouter, c'est d'établir des relations avec nos producteurs indépendants dans les régions et surtout dans les communautés francophones en situation minoritaire. Et je pense aux résultats formidables comme les émissions, les productions Le Monde de Gabriel Roy et El Toro, tous les deux du Manitoba et Montrouge de Nouveau-Brunswick. And on the CBC side, this year we launched 7 local podcasts from PEI to Saskatchewan to Vancouver Island.
Catherine, what have been the highlights of your year and the biggest challenges? Let's start with the highlights.
Okay, the highlights, I can speak from personally. We worked for many years on developing and creating the first ever national Indigenous strategy for CBC Radio-Canada. Et ce projet était piloté par nos employés autochtones avec la participation des communautés, des créateurs autochtones. Alors c'était vraiment un travail de communauté. And I think at the end of the day, when we launched this Indigenous strategy, it was CBC Radio-Canada speaking to First Nations, Métis and Inuit across the country. We're here for you. Help us serve you better. And we're here to serve you. Du côté enjeu, si je peux dire, les défis, oui. Bien sûr, c'est notre situation financière. Avec toutes les pressions que je viens de décrire, soit les coûts de production, soit les revenus qui sont en baisse, soit la concurrence déloyale des géants numériques, il y a quand même un énorme défi pour le diffuseur public, parce que même si on a une partie de nos revenus vient de la publicité et des abonnements, 3/4 de notre revenu vient des fonds publics. Et puis voilà, on a travaillé énormément, trouvé des façons d'être plus efficaces, de vraiment trouver des solutions. Mais c'est quand même un défi qui continue parce qu'on a un problème structurel, parce que les médias traditionnels sont en pleine mutation.
Parlons de polarisation croissante. Alors, au Canada, comme ailleurs dans le monde, on voit que la polarisation croissante fragilise la cohésion sociale. Qu'est-ce que le diffuseur public fait ou devrait faire pour atténuer ces lignes de fracture?
Je pense qu'il faut trouver des événements, des situations qui peuvent ramener tous les Canadiens ensemble, des Olympiques et des Paralympiques. Je pense que nous savons tous que c'était un grand moment pour notre pays, de façon que tous les Canadiens sont réunis ensemble pour supporter nos athlètes, et c'est le diffuseur public qui l'a permis. Il y a des moments d'urgence à travers le pays, les feux de forêt, les tempêtes. C'est sûr que quand les choses sont vraiment importantes, les Canadiens viennent à CBC Radio-Canada pour l'information.
We can't forget le bye-bye.
Ouais.
Et toutes les émissions culturelles, parce que là, on est là pour refléter les cultures canadiennes. Mais je veux ajouter quand même, don't forget, CBC Radio-Canada is probably the only media company in the country that has as many foreign correspondents around the world, en anglais et en français. The planet is getting smaller. Issues have become global. So we absolutely have that role to play. The other piece I would add to this is Michael talked about not knowing what's true. And we know that disinformation is undermining our democracy. We know there's fake news. And in what I call news deserts, people are going to online sites and they're getting fed fake news and disinformation. And how does that feed a sense of common values? It doesn't. That's where the polarization occurs. So CBC Radio-Canada has a critical role to play in combating disinformation. On le fait avec les décrypteurs, par exemple. On travaille tout le temps sur la vérification des faits. Our journalistic standards are the highest in the country, and 75% of Canadians still consider CBC Radio-Canada the most trusted source of credible news in the country.
Michael, it's your last annual meeting with Catherine this year. Do you have any words on Catherine, on her mandate for this last meeting?
Well, it's a little awkward sitting beside each other, but...
Bring it on.
Well, I sometimes I think in terms of lists, so let me give you 5 things. Première, on en a parlé, c'est la transformation numérique. Je me rappelle, c'était dans les premières semaines, peut-être mois de son mandat, que CBC a lancé GEM et Radio-Canada a lancé Audio. Donc, 2 grands succès qui assurent l'avenir de notre diffuseur public. Et c'était vraiment Catherine qui était derrière ça. We talked about the Olympics. I remember the board decided to mandate her to go to Geneva to negotiate with the IOC to ensure that CBC Radio-Canada would be the official Olympic broadcaster all the way through to 2032 in Brisbane in Australia. Informer les Canadiens, c'est sûr qu'on essaie d'oublier toute cette période de COVID-19, mais les Canadiens ont tourné vers CBC Radio-Canada pour t'informer et dans des nombres presque records. Et de diriger une organisation durant cette époque-là où les Canadiens vivaient des choses qu'on n'a jamais vécues et tu es obligé de diriger une entreprise journalistique durant cette période-là et la façon que nous l'avons réussi, je pense que c'est un grand réussite. Catherine a parlé de cette première stratégie autochtone. J'étais présent à Winnipeg quand c'était annoncé et la confiance que les leaders autochtones avaient envers elle et envers cette politique, ça m'a touché beaucoup et je pense que c'est un moment très important dans l'histoire de notre pays. And then I would just finish in saying Catherine's work with the Association of Public Broadcasters, so several broadcasters from different countries, other democracies, working together under Catherine's leadership to ensure that all of our citizens will have access to reliable information. It's been a pleasure and an honor and a learning experience for me to work side by side with Catherine. So I'm very grateful to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Très bien.
Thank you.
OK, on va aller surprendre Madame Tait. Catherine Tait n'a aucune idée qui l'interviewe aujourd'hui, donc j'ai hâte de voir sa surprise, son visage. Soit qu'elle va être très contente ou pas du tout. Bonjour, Madame Tait.
Oh.
Ça va bien?
Wow!
Ça va?
Oui, ça va très bien, merci.
Good, good.
And you?
Ça va bien. You didn't know who was going to interview you today.
Mais c'est ça. They wanted to be a surprise. Et puis voilà.
Est-ce que c'est une bonne surprise?
C'est une très bonne surprise.
Ah, OK, parfait. Catherine, très contente d'être ici.
Et moi aussi, d'être ici avec Isabelle Racicot. Quel plaisir, grand plaisir.
Merci. Là, on sent comment, à quelques semaines de la fin de son mandat?
Ben écoutez, c'est bien sûr, il y a une tristesse de
Oui.
dire bon, au revoir à toutes les équipes et les gens, les collègues qui sont maintenant très proches.
Oui.
Mais en même temps, j'ai hâte de voir l'avenir et d'autres choses.
J'imagine justement qu'il y a toutes sortes de sentiments attachés à ce que vous êtes en train de vivre. Puis je pense que c'est important de souligner qu'en 88 ans d'histoire, vous êtes la première femme à la tête de CBC Radio-Canada. Puis on va en parler de ça, d'être la première. Mais ce que je trouve intéressant, c'est que vous avez failli pas faire l'histoire parce qu'au départ, vous avez dit non. Je veux savoir pourquoi.
Ben écoutez, j'étais d'abord une productrice
Ouais.
de télé, long-métrage, un entrepreneur. J'avais ma vie privée.
Oui.
Anonyme,
Ouais.
et puis j'ai toujours travaillé dans le secteur privé. Alors pour moi, l'idée de passer au public, d'être un personnage,
Ouais.
ça, j'ai trouvé ça terrifiant en fait. Alors j'ai hésité, et puis finalement, c'était les collègues, les amis dans l'industrie qui m'ont dit, ben écoutez Catherine, t'es la seule personne pour la job en ce moment. Alors, j'ai dit, ben finalement... Et il y avait là aussi ma mère qui était à Ottawa, qui a 95 ans, qui m'a persuadée de revenir au Canada et puis d'accepter le poste, le rôle.
Comme tout s'alignait pour ça.
Voilà, c'est ça.
And you just mentioned that you had your life, you know, you had a great job in New York, great life there. And you still made that leap of faith. So I want to know, when you're comfortable in a situation and you get an opportunity, when do you know you have to take it?
Such a great question, Isabelle. I was actually yesterday talking with our emerging leaders. We have this program for diverse emerging leaders at CBC Radio-Canada, and they asked me exactly the same question.
Really?
How will I know what job to take
Yeah.
and which one to avoid? And I said, there's a kind, for me personally, it's an equal measure of fear,
Yeah.
Learning, and adventure, and service.
Oh, wow.
So for me, what am I doing? How am I serving, whether it's in the creative process, how am I advancing the creative process, or how am I advancing, in the case of the public broadcaster, how am I advancing this service that we do each and every day?
What's my purpose, right?
Yeah.
Have you always, is that a question that comes often? What is my purpose?
Absolutely, absolutely, especially as a woman in the media sector.
Okay, let's talk about being the woman.
Yes.
Parce que, tu sais, je sais qu'on vous l'a rappelé beaucoup en plus en début de votre
Surtout
mandat.
au début.
Oui, 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 oui. Mais c'est vrai, vous avez fracassé un plafond de verre. Avant vous, c'est 15 hommes qui se sont succédés à la tête de CBC Radio-Canada. Moi, je serais curieuse de savoir, est-ce qu'il y a des choses que vous avez vécues parce que vous étiez une première femme, puis auxquelles vous n'attendiez pas nécessairement?
Il y a ce fait que, en tant que femme, les attentes sont beaucoup plus élevées.
Oui.
Et si jamais il y a un échec, les critiques sont très dures.
Oui.
Et pour moi, personnellement, je pense qu'aussi, en tant que femme, je porte un jugement moi-même. Il faut que je travaille mieux. Il faut aller plus vite parce que je suis là comme représentante de toutes les femmes, les femmes. Alors, il y a quand même des pressions, bien sûr.
It comes with responsibility as well,
Yes.
right? When you look back, what was the pressure?
Listen, my mother worked as a secretary at CBC in the 50s. So when I got this job to be the president and CEO of CBC Radio-Canada, oh my goodness, that's a big, big weight on my shoulders. I had to prove to her and to everybody that the choice was the right one and that I was the right person in the right place at the right time. And that responsibility is huge, and the weight of that is huge.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but because, you know, I'm a person of color in a very white environment, I always felt that I had to be always better, do more, work harder, just to make sure that I would not only be considered as good as my, you know, white counterpart, but as also because I wanted to make sure that I was going to leave the door open for others behind me. Did you feel that kind of weight as well of, I cannot be just the first, I have to open up the doors for the others, right?
I've often said that at the beginning I was a little resistant to what is it like to be the first woman, because honestly I'm a human being, and that's what matters. But then with time, and especially during the pandemic and the cry for social justice that we experienced after the murder of George Floyd, and we were having those kinds of discussions about racism in our institution, and it was like the penny dropped. I realized, oh, I know why I'm here. I've spent my life on the other side of the window looking in. And here I am, I'm now at the table.
Yeah.
And so my responsibility is, I got my foot in the door, I'm holding the door open with that foot.
Yeah.
So that others can come in, not just women, people of color, indigenous people, people living with disabilities. Because our responsibility, as you know, at CBC Radio-Canada is to serve all Canadians, not one group. We must reflect.
I have to tell you that while preparing for our conversation, you know, I couldn't help noticing how you were the target of many attacks, whether it came from political leaders or the media or even employees within the organization. And I'm curious to find out, what did that ignite in you?
Well, it's very painful. You know that from anybody who's anyone who is a public figure experiences that, especially the online hate can be very, very hard. And as somebody who was not born to be in front of a camera. I'm behind the camera as a producer. I had no interest in being in front of the camera. So it was really, really hard. I had to separate my personal experience from the chair that I sit in. I'm the CEO, I'm the president of CBC Radio-Canada. That's what they're attacking. They're trying to discredit the organization. And if I'm the vehicle for that, well, I have to separate myself from it. But honestly, there is no doubt in my mind that as an early feminist, we're losing ground. And
as women?
As women.
Pourquoi?
Ben, je pense qu'il y a quand même il y a une fatigue, je pense, parmi les hommes et parmi les gens. Mais on arrête avec toute cette histoire des femmes et la parité et tout ça. I think we're really in a very tough period. And we've seen it in the United States with Roe versus Wade. We've seen this kind of normalization of turning women into targets, like you describe. So whereas a man might be described as forceful and a hero, I might be described as combative and difficult, thin-skinned. I mean, I've even been described as she's not in her swim lane, as if the lane was predetermined of what I can and cannot do. So I'm an outspoken person, I'm a candid person, so I couldn't change who I am. But I felt that pressure, that really, you know, it was an effort to silence me. And that's what I kept on saying to myself. You got to keep speaking out. You got to keep talking about the value of public broadcasting. You got to keep talking about the importance of reflecting Canada in all its diversity. And that was my focus.
Est-ce que tu dirais, Catherine, que ce poste-là t'a changé un peu?
Ben oui, absolument. Oui? Ben, j'ai beaucoup appris. D'abord, le cadeau, vraiment pour moi, c'était l'opportunité de travailler en français et anglais. Tu le sais, c'est une chose vraiment merveilleuse, le fait qu'on a ces deux langues.
C'est une richesse.
Ben, c'est une richesse. Et puis tout ce que j'ai appris sur les peuples autochtones aussi, ça m'a donné beaucoup. J'ai jamais pensé à ça. Quand j'ai accepté ce rôle, j'ai pensé que c'est Ottawa, c'est chercher le financement pour le diffuseur public. C'était ça mon mandat, mon objectif. Et finalement, ce n'était pas du tout ça. C'était de connecter avec les gens, d'aller sur le terrain, de rencontrer les Canadiens dans les régions. Et tous ces gens-là, ça m'a donné énormément de plaisir. Et voilà, je garde ça pour la vie.
De richesse, j'imagine. Hein?
Oui, tout à fait.
So I want to take this opportunity to get some advice from you to young women who are ambitious and who, you know, want to rule the world. What would you like to say to them?
Be brave.
Yeah.
Be bold. And as I said, you know, we're living in a very scary time. It's not just for women, I would say, for, you know, racialized people or an Indigenous person. You have to stand up for yourself. We need to hear your voice. So don't be silenced. Don't be silenced. And so it's courage. It's really courage.
Quelle est la plus grande leçon que la présidence vous a donnée?
Au cœur de tout ce qu'on fait, c'est le public, c'est nos auditoires qui comptent, c'est pas nous. On est là pour desservir les Canadiens. Alors, la leçon, si je peux dire, s'il y a une leçon qui vraiment reste avec moi, c'est un service public comme CBC Radio-Canada. Quelquefois, on est trop dans nos affaires et puis...
Des fois, c'est l'ego.
Ben, c'est ça.
Notre ego, des fois.
Ben, c'est ça. Et puis, on pense que nous, on est au centre des choses, mais c'est le public qui est au centre. Alors, je pense, finalement, c'est l'appartenance du public envers Radio-Canada et CBC. C'est ça qui est important.
Mm-hmm. Did you learn something about yourself that you didn't know prior to taking this mandate?
Probably the biggest learning was I had to learn to listen. And for people who are always moving very quickly and trying to be ambitious, sometimes we don't sit and listen. And certainly in the social justice conversation, I had to listen. I would say, well, I know what it feels like. No, you don't. I'm a woman. I know exactly what you're going through. No, you don't. And especially for the Indigenous strategy, which I believe is one of my, if there's a legacy, is really important. I had to give up control to the Indigenous employees to do the strategy. For a control freak, I have to give them the power, and then I realized, oh, if you give them the power, then they fill the space in the most beautiful way, and we have a most fantastic strategy as a result.
Where do you see Radio-Canada and CBC in 10 years?
So we're going into a period, I would say, of I don't want to say hostile environment, but certainly not as friendly. We're going to have to double down on our strengths, and I believe our competitive strength is our proximity to the public. Google and Netflix aren't going to open an office in Trois-Rivières or in Lethbridge. Not going to happen. We're there. So that's what counts. But in order to be relevant 10 years from now, CBC and Radio-Canada will have to look a lot more like the people we serve. And we've done a lot of work in evolving that. You talked about it earlier. And that journey, I think, is just beginning. And it's got a long way to go. But I'm so proud of the things we've accomplished.
That was really fun, Catherine. I'm so happy I got to sit down with you. Je te souhaite une belle continuation. Peu importe ce que tu vas décider de faire, je te souhaite beaucoup, beaucoup de succès dans la suite de ta carrière.
Merci, Isabelle.
Parce que je sais que c'est pas la retraite, mais on va tout de suite le dire. Hein? C'est pas la retraite pour Catherine Tait.
Pas du tout. Jamais. Merci, Isabelle. Quel plaisir.
Canadian stories matter. They connect us, they inform us, they inspire us. And there's one place that brings them together.
Nos triomphes sur la scène internationale.
To the local voices that inspire and inform.
This is The Current. Je suis content d'être le compagnon de vos évasions.
Crime Story. You're one of my favorite interviewers, so I was pumped.
Ah, je suis excité, ça commence! Des séries et des variétés qui captivent notre imaginaire.
Are you ready? Hi.
Wait, you need me? I look forward to fighting you on many a deal.
Congratulations on making the cut.
Mo! Johnny!
Je suis venu vous demander de l'aide.
Original! Arrête de faire ta princesse, viens-moi dans mon bureau.
Supporting lifelong learning.
La chose qui m'handicape le plus, c'est la société.
Yeah, it's the nature of things. It's an iconic Canadian show.
Bonjour, Nicolas. Ça fait mal aux oreilles, l'actualité. Informer quand ça compte vraiment.
Thanks for joining us.
On y va.
Ici Céline Galipo. Ce soir, au Téléjournal.
Okay, they are minutes away from dropping the aid now. We are just approaching Gaza.
Hello and welcome inside the CBC Newsroom. I'm Natasha Fada.
Paying more than $3,000 a month for a one-bedroom.
Ce genre d'entraînement est un premier pas.
C'est un revirement complet.
So look, there is just so much fuel to burn here.
We found your car located in the West African nation of Ghana.
Two more quick things about that 150-meter race.
Bonjour et bienvenue au Vidéojournal du Grand Nord. Ici Mathis à Iqaluit.
Accessible to all, made possible by you.
On a envie de donner la parole aux gens partout à travers le Canada.
Est-ce que le fait d'être Wenda, tu sens qu'il y a une responsabilité?
Our people are important.
Vos histoires, vos voix, votre diffuseur public.